The Europa League is back on Thursday night. Celtic take part in the second tier of European competitions, but the one that we've been getting used to over the past few seasons. We kick off our campaign in Seville against Real Betis, in a group which has been, let's be honest, quite tough on Celtic. It's a group that has Real Betis, Bayer Leverkusen, and the old enemy, Ferencváros. It's a group that you'd be asking a lot for Celtic to go and get through convincingly. You're relying heavily on Celtic Park being a fortress in Europe and being a place where we can get a win in every single game if we want to go through this. But at the same time, it's a group that Celtic are capable of going through. You're looking at three sides here who, might be good, but for no reason should we write ourselves off against. They're sides that we can get points against, and if we really turn up and play the football we know we can play under Ange Postecoglou, you're looking at a Celtic side that, might be able to do something. The hardest part about European football this season is trying to forget last season. Last season left a real bitter taste in the mouth towards Celtic playing in any European group stage football over the next year or so. We were embarrassed, we were broken down, and we were left in a position where we questioned our sort of placement in European football. Can we be taken seriously, you could almost say. But now we have a chance to rewrite that. We have a chance to go under Ange Postecoglou, start something new and play as a Celtic side that might be completely different to anything we've seen in recent times in European football. Now, don't get me wrong, a couple of years ago it was great. Our backs were also against the wall as we were handed that group that had the likes of Lazio in it, and somehow we topped the group. But we lost to Copenhagen, we lost to Ferencváros, and then we were utterly humiliated in that group. Ange Postecoglou has a massive chance to start his own chapter in Celtic's European history, and a chapter that could be far more happier and far more joyous than the previous few. On that note, let's have a look at the opposition we take on in our Europa League group this season. It's a group which will present a challenge, but here's the breakdown and the research that I've done into all three of the sides. First up for Celtic, it's Real Betis of the Spanish La Liga. They currently sit 9th after the first 4 games of the season. It's been a mixed bag start for the Spanish side. 2 draws, a loss, and their first win only coming last night against Granada in a 2-1 victory. They're currently managed by a familiar face on these shores, Manuel Pellegrini, former Premier League winning manager with Manchester City. He guided them to a 6th placed finish last season, where they finished 3 points clear in fact of Europa League winners Villarreal. Now, just to put it into context, if Villarreal didn't win the Europa League, they would have missed out on European football, so Real Betis were still in with the collection and the best teams in Spain last season. Obviously from the city of Seville, they have a massive rivalry with Sevilla, a city where Celtic have a little bit of history. If you remember rightly, a 60,000 seater stadium too for Real Betis. It's got to be a menacing place to play with a set of fans who'll get right behind their side. Some great players of course at Real Betis, a side that does manage to attract some of the very best. Nabil Fekir being the one that stands out the most. The only thing about Nabil Fekir is, despite being close to joining Liverpool a couple of seasons ago, he was snapped up in the photos and a former player of Lyon. This season so far, he's not actually been that great. No goals, no assists. He is the kind of player though that on his day will turn up against Celtic and cause mayhem. The other main playmaker, Sergio Canales, was rested for their win over Granada at the weekend, but he came on off the bench to score the winner in the game and will probably be involved in the starting 11 against Celtic, another guy who will cause a lot of issues. Those two names stand out amongst a whole host of great players at Real Betis, a group of players which is very talented and with a lot of names that stand out and you may recognise, the likes of Claudio Bravo, who visited as part of Manchester City's side a few years ago, Montoya, Marc Bartra, the former Dortmund centre-half, Hector Bellerin, who's on loan from Arsenal at the moment, William Carvalho, Guardado, William Jose, and of course Christian Tello, whose name has been around for a little while. Ultimately, despite their poor start to the season, I don't think that Betis is a side we can sleep on. It's a side that's certainly got enough talent and playing in one of, if not the best league in the world, so they will certainly present a challenge for Celtic. Next team up, Bayer Leverkusen, situated near the city of Cologne in Germany. Of course, a man who loves his Bundesliga knows quite a little bit about Bayer Leverkusen. Currently sitting 6th in the Bundesliga, 2 wins, a draw, and most recently a dramatic loss to Dortmund 4-3. They have had a decent start to the season, where new manager Gerardo Seon will be very pleased with what he's seen. Managed by Peter Bosz until March this year, Hannes Wolf guided them to a 6th place finish last season, which made them get into the Europa League group stages. Interestingly enough, new manager Gerardo Seon was actually head of Young Boys and the manager of Young Boys when they knocked Leverkusen out of the Europa League last season in the last 32 stage. So I don't know if there was anything there that already suggested that was the man they wanted, but it was certainly a little bit of poetic justice when they stole the manager of Young Boys. I don't know, maybe. There was something there anyway. Leverkusen over the past few years have been known for a very attacking brand of football, a style of football which sees goals, and it was dubbed for a while as Bush Ball when Peter Bosz was still in charge. Lots of goals, still the same right now. They've scored 15 goals in their opening 5 competitive games under new manager Seon. So, you know, it's going to be a battle between the Ange Postecoglou style and this new Seon style at Leverkusen, which certainly loves to score goals on either side. The tale of this tie might be about the man himself, Jeremy Frimpong, who left Celtic in January of this year to complete a move to Bayer Leverkusen. He's now their starting right back. He's in the team every week. He's getting quite a decent write-up, so we'll get to see him at Celtic Park once more. A guy who had quite a split opinion between Celtic fans, but someone who, you know, might show us why we managed to gather quite a bit of money for him. The starting 11 against Borussia Dortmund at the weekend just shows how strong a Leverkusen side this is. I mean, just to name a few of the guys, it's a full team of great talent. That starting 11 included the likes of Radetzky in goals, the Finnish international keeper Jonathan Tah, Zimmerby, Florian Wirtz, and Patrick Schick. I mean, Patrick Schick was someone who had an amazing Euros, a fantastic campaign, not to mention the goal against Scotland that he got, or should I say the goals against Scotland he got. This is a team that is certainly capable of doing damage to Celtic if we don't set up correctly. And just before we close off on Bayer Leverkusen here, one guy to watch in this group and one guy to keep an eye on when we're watching Celtic play them is the 18-year-old Florian Wirtz. What a player he is looking to be. 18 years of age, already a German senior international. He's made 3 appearances for the national team over the past international break. He could be one of the biggest stars in the future of world football. This season, 3 games, he's already got 2 goals, 3 assists. He's wanted by Bayern Munich, he's wanted by Manchester United, he's been looked at by Arsenal apparently. All these teams apparently in looking at Florian Wirtz. He's someone who could be the star player in this group. Some dubbing him the next Kai Havertz. He is certainly going to be a danger to Celtic. And finally, a familiar foe, the Ferencváros of Hungary. A side that, you know, the less said about them, the better after the history of us two over the past year or so. Currently third in the Hungarian top tier with 3 wins and 1 loss. They sit behind the teams at the top, but they still have 2 games in hand over the tight side at the top of the table. Despite this, they won the league last season by 20 points. They only lost 1 game. Domestically, they are in a situation where they are the only team that matters right now in Hungary, and it's sort of resemblant to that period of time where, you know, Celtic were winning the league by 20 points and winning everything in Scotland. That right now seems to be Ferencváros over in Hungary. Last season, we all know Ferencváros made it to the Champions League group stages. Interestingly enough, I believe the only side here that was in the Champions League last season. They got to the group stages where they only managed to get 1 point, but I mean, listen, they had a group that consisted of Barcelona, Juventus, Dynamo Kiev. They really did put up a bit of a fight and they tried their best, but, you know, playing against sides that much greater than you makes it very difficult. But the main thing is, they got to that Champions League group stage via beating Celtic in the qualifiers. This is a side who have beat us. This is a side that knows how to come to Celtic Park and win, because they've done it and they'll be wanting to do it again. This season they made it to the playoff round once again for the Champions League, where they lost out to Young Boys 6-4 on aggregate. So, I mean, you're talking a Young Boys side that, you know, this all kind of ties together quite nicely. A Young Boys side who was managed by Gerardo Seon last season, who weren't managed by Gerardo Seon this season, that Ferencváros end up playing against. A Young Boys side who are now in the Champions League as well. You know, a good side, 6-4 on aggregate. They put up a hell of a fight, Ferencváros, and they're not going to be, they don't want to come to this group to be the bottom of the barrel. They don't want to be the worst team in the group. They want to do well. Celtic may have battered them in stats when they came to Celtic Park, getting more shots and all the rest of it, but it didn't matter. Tokmak Nguyen Will he haunt us once more? That's the question. So there you go. That's the three sides we're taking on in the Europa League group stages this season. Look, I think it's far too early and far too difficult to give an all-out prediction as to whether or not we'll make it through this group. Remember, third place makes it into the Europa Conference League as well, which I suppose is a bonus to an extent, but we've never seen Ange Postecoglou's side play in group stage European football. We've only had the games so far against AZ Alkmaar and Midtjylland, and to judge off, it's been such a limited amount of football. This is a different sort of playground now when you're in the actual group stages. We might be able to judge it after Thursday night to an extent, but I think this whole 6 games, this whole group stage will be the sort of learning curve as to what we will be like and what we have to set up like under this new manager and under this new system. I think it's far too early to predict what will happen, but as I look at those 3 teams there, I fear Leverkusen probably most out of them, but you take that aside for a moment, I don't see any reason why we can't go and finish first or second in this group. We're going to need a bit of luck, you always do. Look at how Fraser Forster performed against Lazio. I mean, that was more hard work and good saves than luck, but you know, when you get a bit of luck on your side and you manage to stop chances and you manage to take your few chances that you might get, you somehow make your way through these groups, and I'm hoping that is the same this season. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be out with the match preview tomorrow ahead of the Betis tie on Thursday, so make sure to check that out, like and subscribe as I said, and I'll see you all next time.